I grew up with wolves, you know that I'm greedy. Quiet is kept, but I'm openly sneaky. Cash out the money, you track me them numbers. I go and refund it before it's completed. Use the resources before they're depleted. Didn't have the money, so I had to wing it. Cars we drive are hard to distinguish. Open the door and it look like a phoenix. Don't have to commend me, already conceded. Dressed in the attire required for means. Wearing peacoats in the hottest degree. No less by focus, I hardly could see. All of these diamonds will alter the climate. With these VVS's, it's harder to breathe. Taking a trip to the mountains for ease. Sticks in the bag like they're part of the ski. She want my money, it's hard to retrieve it. You get the options to like her to leave it. Suck me with ice till I'm partial anemic. She let it come from her mouth like it's Zetas. Wanted cuisine, I bought her tzatziki's. Made her feel Mediterranean sea-ish. Too busy to vacate, I settle for beaches. I let my habitat set in my features. Came from a village, we straight for the keepers. Lions look up to me like a Rafiki. These niggas hate cause they settle for pieces. And I feel the hatred through telekinesis. When I was broke, they barely was speaking. I talk to dead presidents like Ouija. Buying designer and barely could speak it. She from Marcus and Neiman's. Retail therapy, curing I need it. Balenciagas are like orthopedics. I remember when I used to be dreaming. Now I take Adderalls when I'm sleeping. Through expectations, I have to exceed them. Obsessive, compulsive, I have to repeat it. Fuck being cool when you smoother than Fiji. I make the hardest of obstacles easy.
As you can see, we got the car back. It's been about 5 months since I posted my last video. I'm just here taking it out today. I'm downtown in the area I stay in. Pretty decent place, as you can see. It's alright. Came down here to get me something to eat. But I'm gonna give you guys a quick update on what's been going on with the car, what I changed, what I've done. Without further ado, here we go. So quick update. The car had been gone from my possession from maybe around January the 6th all the way on to the end of March. And yeah, it hasn't been that long. That's why I haven't been posting any videos, keeping anybody updated on what's been going on, because I was still figuring out myself. Like every other week there was another invoice coming in about changing this, trying to figure this out, trying to do that. But within the process, one of the things I can say is the drivability is way better due to me changing from a speed density tune, as you guys know that I was already on, going from a speed density tune to going back to a MAP sensor tune. Just by me switching over from a speed density tune to a MAP sensor tune, it changed the whole dynamics of the car. The car runs way smoother throughout the power band. The drivability is exceptional. It's very exceptional. It runs way more excellent than it was the first time. And the company that I use, I felt like after all the money I spent over the course of the past 2 years, that should have been a company that I used in the first place. Everybody was like, hey, take it to Brewers, take it to Brewers. Me trying to stay locally and having separation anxiety because, you know, of course, my car, I love it. I was one of those ones who was like, no, I'm not taking my car away to Georgia and dropping it off because it is and because of that. But at the end of the day, it was well worth it. So the reason for me going to Brewer Speed in the first place was because I was going to trade the car in for a Hellcat. Yes, a Hellcat. I went to Columbus, Georgia. It was a Hyundai dealer in Columbus that had a 2020 narrow body Hellcat for around $69,000. And those who know about cars know that that's a great price point for a Hellcat. So I kid you not, I called the salesman on a Friday morning, I want to say, maybe around 9 o'clock. It only took an hour and 30 minutes to get there. So I was like, hey, I'll be there by lunch. So by the time I was heading to Columbus to pick the car up, the guy called me maybe when I was like 15, 20 minutes away. It was like, hey, someone just came by and bought the car. So me and a friend of mine that drove up, we sat around. I was like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do now. I drove all the way up here. I didn't leave with the car, so let's just make it a trip. So we went and grabbed food. In the process of me grabbing food, I was looking up how far Brewers Performance was from the location I was currently at. Only 8 minutes. So at that point, I called Brewers Performance. I asked him, hey man, can you get me in for a tune today? He was like, yeah, just bring it by. So I go by, take maybe an hour, hour and a half. They was dealing with other customers for him to get me hooked up on the dyno. So by the time he get me hooked up on the dyno, me and a couple other guys just standing out talking about the cars. I'm excited, I'm happy, because I'm like, hey, I can finally get this methanol tuned. And that's when Hyundai called me back. They was like, hey man, the Hellcat is now available. The person who got it or was getting it, they got down to the finance portion of what the car was gonna cost them monthly, and they opted out. So at that point, I was like, I just missed out because my car's on the dyno. So I was like, well, let me see what the tuner says. I didn't want to trade the car in knowing that it wasn't at its full potential. Me thinking that it was, knowing that it wasn't. And here's the reason why. So he finally got me hooked up to the dyno, and me and a couple other guys standing around still listening to the car. They're like, man, the car sounds like a beast. I'm like, yeah, man, appreciate it. And maybe like 5 minutes later, the tuner come and get me like, hey, man, I done made 5 hits on this car. The car is only making 550. And I was like, what the fuck? He's like, yeah. He's like, let me show you why. So he showed me some of the tables, and the tables were way off. And you know, as a speed density tune, it's a lot more tables than what it is when you're tuning on a MAF sensor. So he was like, hey, let me get this car swiped clean the factory, write down all the parts that you got on the car, and I'll get someone from Chevy to come and swipe it clean. We'll start over, we'll put you on the MAF sensor, and you should be fine. So I called the guy Hyundai back. I explained what was going on. He told me like, hey man, look, I understand when you get the car back, you know, we appreciate you doing all that, you know, just so we can get the car, we won't have to spend any money in it. That's the type of person I am. I didn't want that to go along, so I was like, hey, it is what it is. So weeks and weeks rolled by. We're still going back and forth on the car, what I want to do, the power range I wanted it to be at. I told him anything over 700 was fine with me. I just wanted at least 750, that was good with me. When it came to wheel horsepower, no crank, wheel horsepower, which did a great job tuning it. But over the course of the time, he was calling me because the initial price point that we set was well over $2,000. So I was like, all right, cool, I'm fine with that. You know, just let me know when you're done. I can give you a portion of it now and pay the final bill when we're done, because I wanted to make sure the car in between time was good. I didn't want to pay him all the money up front, get the car, be dissatisfied, then have to pay more money for him to correct what I didn't like. So, and what I would say, these are great people. They stand by their work, which I feel like wouldn't have been the case with them, because they stand by their work wholeheartedly. But in the process, he called me. He was like, hey man, maybe like 3 weeks later, he was like, the rear main seal blew on the car. So he's like, I got good news and bad news. We got the car to the number that you wanted it at, but the rear main seal blew out. It's gonna be XYZ amount of dollars for you to replace your rear main seal. So at this point, I'm in the middle of a meeting at work. He called me about a rear main seal and sent me an invoice for the rear main seal. And it was close to $3,000 to fix a rear main seal, change the oil catch can out from a Elite Engineering catch can that I had previous put on. I paid $500 for it. I paid someone $175 to put it on. Then to go to a Mighty Mouse catch can, which I should have ordered in the first place. All of my friends were like, hey bro, get a Mighty Mouse catch can that has a breather on it. I didn't do it. And I blame myself for not doing that. And it cost me $3 grand just to get all that swapped out. Not only did I have to waste money because I bought the Elite Engineering catch can, it wasn't even hooked up right in the first place. So that was the whole reason for the rear main seal blowing out, and the part, the gasket for the rear main seal was only $55. But it's just so much labor coming with changing out the rear main seal. So if anybody ever get a booster application, make sure you get a catch can with a breather on it, because the labor for a rear main seal is $1,500 to $2,100 just to fix a part that only costs $55. So that's very important, very vital. Or if you have a booster application, make sure you ask them, hey, do I need breathers because of crankcase pressure? That will save you a lot of money in the long run. So after getting that done, I paid him the money for that. He called me back. He was like, hey, anything else you want to do to the car? I was like, nah, it's fine. So I'm happy because he was like, hey, come and pick it up, whatever. So we scheduled a date to go and get it. The day I get it, I guess it was just clutch line failure. The day I go and get it, I'm maybe 10 minutes away from the shop. The clutch line pop, all the clutch fluid lands on the header, on the block, and instantly start a fire under the car. So at this point, I see a lot of smoke while I'm driving the car, thinking I blew the motor, whatever the case may be. I'm just done with the car at that point. I'm like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna sell it, just be done with it. I pull over, pop the hood, big ball of fire just come up in my face. I started not to put it out. I started just let the insurance take care of it. I'm just playing, but yeah, I ended up fanning it out. It went out fairly easy. I called them like, hey man, the car's on fire. They was up there in less than a minute. That's just how concerned they were about it. And we all came to the conclusion it just was time to replace the clutch line, and which I ended up doing later on. So they towed the car back to the shop. We do observation on the car. The clutch line was tore. He's like, hey man, we'll fix it. We'll take care of it. I was like, all right, I'll just come back on a later date. They fixed it that week. I went and picked it up the next week, and everything was working flawlessly. They built the firewall. They wrapped everything that was over that area and close to it, and the car ran exceptionally well. So when I went to him initially, I said 700, which the car makes over 700 horsepower to the wheel. Could have made more, because like I said, we have an alternative fueling, which is methanol. The car could have made way more power. He did like 5 hits in 3rd gear. 4th gear is 1-to-1. He did a hit in 4th gear just to tune the car. He was going to pull more out of it due to the motor being built. The top of the motor can take 1,500. The bottom of the motor can take maybe a little bit over 1,000. And the car is making it over 700, so that's a pretty decent number. We could have probably got closely to 760, 780, just easily on the setup that I have. My blower capacity is 800. Didn't want to overspin the blower. All right, we back. So like I was saying, didn't want to overspin the blower, for one. And for two, when he made the last hit in 4th gear, which is the 1-in-1 gear, the clutch started slipping after the 2nd hit. He told me to go to a Monster triple disc clutch, but my solution was, it's probably because it was hot. The clutch was hot, the transmission was hot, the whole car. You just made maybe 7 hits on the car trying to tune it. So I'm trying to figure that out. Now, we're going back and forth. He wants me to go ahead and order the clutch. I told him I will. Give me a little bit more time with the car just to see how it reacts. Like I said, it's been driving pretty good. I ran the car a little bit hard. I raced the Hellcat, felt the clutch slip a little bit, just only a little bit, but we had been riding for a while, so yeah, so that's what I'm gonna end up doing, probably replacing the clutch.
Shot me.
If everything prevails throughout the year, I'm not one of the ones to chase numbers. Let's put that out there. I don't give a fuck who car is faster than mine, what you doing. This car is primarily for my enjoyment. I don't care nothing about racing. Well, I do, but I don't. I don't care about who car makes what. That's your own business. That's your car note or whatever. A lot of people chase numbers to say, hey, I got the fastest car, cool. At the end of the day, we all out here to have fun. All right, so what I'm expecting from my car is I want to see that 900 number. And with that being, I would probably have to get the Monster triple disc clutch. The motor's built, I wouldn't really have to do anything to that, but I do want a high ram intake. I want to swap my V3 Ti blower for a wide side blower. I'm going to change the brackets on both sides so it can be a 2-belt driven system instead of a 1-belt driven system. Fueling is good, but I do want a DSX auxiliary pump and E85. That's it. I'm currently running meth. With the efficiency of the meth, it's pretty cool. It's working, but you don't want to go through having to deal with what if you're wide open throttle and it fails and your car's not getting the proper fueling that it needs, and you'll be looking at a major bill. So I wanted something a little bit more reliable when it comes to getting fueling to where it needed to be for me to run the car as hard as I want to run it. And I'm also going to change my blowout valve. I got a 38mm blowout valve. Okay, it's the standard blowout valve that come with the kit. I don't know if the guy who put the kit on that had the car before me was just buying it just to be buying it or what. But I do want the big bubble because all that boost has to have somewhere to go. And I want it gone quickly versus, there's nothing wrong with the one I have now, but it'll help me out a lot better when it comes to making high horsepower. Like I said, my cutoff number is 900. Like I said, the motor is built for 15 up top. The bottom end, a little bit over 1,000, but I do want that safe point to where I can say, okay, cool. I know I'm good at 900 because I'm protected on both ends due to the way that the motor was built. But without further ado, I'm not gonna hold y'all. I've been talking. I may have forgotten some of the things I was gonna mention in this video. If I can come up with something else, or if something else comes out or comes up, then what I do is I mention in the next video. It's been a while since I gave you guys a video, so I want to go ahead and leave you with a couple clips. I want to leave you with how's the car running, and just want to show you, you know, my experience. Like I said, I will leave Brewer's performance information at the end of this video. Check it out. Please, please, please call them. If you're living in the southeast region, I don't know if there's any other companies that's providing people with what they need as far as the customer service, the reliability of the cars. Look, this man will not let you leave. Even on the paperwork, it says, I will not let you leave this shop until you're satisfied. Whether that's him making small increments to change it, or if you have to spend more money, it's worth it. I have been very satisfied with my car, and they call repeatedly to make sure you're satisfied. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I appreciate everybody for watching the videos. Like the video, subscribe to my page. If you know somebody else that this can be helpful to, that's building a Corvette and they have any questions, just feel free. And my Instagram will also be in the description as well. So if you don't want to hit me up on here, just go to my Instagram and just check everything out. I got videos on there, I got pictures of the car, whatever the case may be. So again, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for subscribing. It means a lot to me to know that people are very interested in what I got going on. I appreciate it.